Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My dear students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the webinar on leadership during adversity, continue learning in our students, and by inviting senior industry professionals through medium like these, we hope that our future managers are able to cope up with the realities of the corporate world. It is an immense honor to have with us today Ms. Sudarsana Sanyal, Assistant Vice President, Learning and Development, Tata Projects Limited, Mumbai. Sudarsana is a postgraduate engineer from IIT BHU with 25 years rich experience, of which she has largely worked with ACC Limited in various leadership roles spanning businesses, HR, learning and development, and talent management across geographical locations. Sudarsana has led several large-scale organizational development initiatives, transformation and excellence initiatives independently, and also with consulting partnerships with companies like BCG and McKinsey. An HR leader with proven national and global experience, she has delivered results in diverse cultures. She has been recognized for high-level skills in creating and shaping customer and business-focused HR function with high employee engagement. She has seamlessly led change, large-scale execution, has been responsible for engaging and inspiring people, strategic orientation, talent development, and succession planning. She has won several accolades for a number of innovative contributions that led to business results and employee motivation. She is passionate about matching talent with roles to achieve exponential business results. An active, organized, and efficient individual, Sudarsana is always ready with solutions and suggestions which have major impact on the working and effectiveness of the job. A proactive HR professional, her strength lies in being process-oriented. Her great leadership, effort, and commitment towards her work has been quite commendable. She has been interested in the development of young professionals, and we are very fortunate that she accepted our invitation to share her views today. Welcome, Sudarsana.
Thanks.
There is no education like adversity. Adversity does not build character, it reveals it as well. We are thriving in extraordinarily challenging time where the role of the leader is focused not only on survival, but also on remote team collaboration. So Darshana, so I would like to start with asking you that how can leaders prepare themselves during the adverse situation like the one we are facing today?
Yes, Sona, thank you for your introduction, and good afternoon and warm welcome to all the participants to this webinar. It's always a pleasure to interact with the college students and my fellow colleagues from the corporate. So thanks for the opportunity. Yes, Sona, we are actually going through a very difficult time, no doubt about it. Every day we are, every hour, I would say, we are receiving updates about lost lives, then lost jobs, quarantines, difficult situations that migrant workers are facing, and these are really depressing. But for a moment, if we look at the other side, what world over people are doing, what kind of leadership we can see, and it's very encouraging. And I find that now, and it's really reinforcing the concept that leaders don't have to be designated leaders. Leaders have to emerge. And adversity is the right time when you get to see leadership in action. We can find recovered cases, the numbers are quite large. We can find what innovative initiatives the organizations are introducing, how the companies are remodeling their businesses irrespective of their scale, and many such examples. And I was doing this time, reading is very interesting because we don't have much to do now. With work from home, our commuting time has come down, so we have become more productive. And in my field, I have to keep learning a lot. So I was reading a very interesting, couple of articles where the CEOs have shared their experiences. Some CEOs who are part of global companies as well as the domestic companies in China, who are at a different level of the curve, different location of the curve, they have shared their experiences. Even I was reading about the CEOs who could tide over the earlier meltdowns. And very interestingly, I was observing a pattern emerging in the behavior of the leaders who could tide through. One is dare, the other facet is care. It's very easy to remember, dare and care. Dare to act very quickly, dare to think big, dare to empower your team to take decisions for business continuity, and care. Put your employees first, put your people first. Ensure that their health and financial security are in place. Only then they will act boldly. Only then they will enjoy, you can win over their trust to tide through several other similar situations. God forbids it won't happen again, but then the other part of care is communicate continuously. Communicate. And, as I was watching TV, I can see Mr. Andrew Cuomo of New York continuously is communicating with his people. He's showing his vulnerability. He's showing what he can and what he cannot. He's expressing. But the communication also is part of care. So people who could show both these attributes in this time, or who can develop these attributes, will be the leaders who can who can tide people through these adverse circumstances. I can give examples. People may debate about sectors like hospitality, aviation. These are the industries and sectors which have been badly hit. It's beyond their control. But still I'm hearing about stories where in some corner of the world some gentleman has just bought a hotel and he has recruited new employees, new entrants. And when this has struck, he has not for a single moment thought about getting rid of the business. Even if he could, he has transformed that hotel building into an isolation center, quarantine center, and he has skilled his employees to be the health caregivers. There are stories about companies who are into 3D printing, they are making the testing swabs. So there are examples. So these are the people who could dare to think differently. And these are the people who could see the big picture. And they are so much savvy about their business and the industry and the pattern that is emerging. Because, see, digitization is getting accelerated. As I was reading about the Chinese companies, Chinese CEOs, CEOs from China, they have actually leveraged that digitization. Like they are giving a non-contact Starbucks experience to the customers. So they have risen to the occasion, but that daring is possible only when you understand your sector very well. You are expert in that. You can see some patterns and you are futuristic. So I would say, and there are examples when we talk about care. On one hand, we find there are many companies who are talking about layoff. There are set of companies who are talking about leaders taking pay cut, not allowing employees to go. So these are two important attributes which are emerging. And I would urge all the leaders and the future leaders, because the students are the future leaders, that keep in mind about these two attributes. These will come very handy. We have to act. When you are in business, you have to be very, very smart. You have to have an incisive mind, agile, understand your sector, your business thoroughly. And don't forget to take care of people. And remember, you cannot do it alone. You have to reach out to people, and together you can achieve. You will not imagine the kind of ideas which can come from your people at the difficult times. So understand, know your people very well. These are the few ways I would say that leaders can prepare themselves during these trying times.
Okay. So as you said that the leaders can, dare and care. What are some of the leadership attributes that can be developed during this time of adversity?
Yes. So, Sona, there's a very good question. As I think about it, what kind of attributes? The first thing that is coming to my mind is adaptability. Only the adaptable leaders will thrive and they will survive. They will also tide their companies and people through this. So adaptability is very important. And how adaptability will come? Adaptability will come when you are open-minded. You are not close to anything. So there are a lot of good articles coming these days on cognitive flexibility or adaptability. So you must go through all this. That Center for Creative Leadership, they have lovely articles on these, and these are very practicable. On the other hand, so how adaptability is one side. So you have to continuously improve yourself, be open to things. And if I draw a link with the dare and care attribute, to develop that daring muscle, you have to be extremely good at business. So how you can be? How you can understand how your business is shaping up, how you can be a shaper. You have to embrace curiosity. You have to ask questions. You have to go to the field level and understand your customers, understand your employees, understand what your peers are doing, so that you can be always ahead of the curve. When such situations come, you will always already be ready. Just imagine the companies who already had started working from home, how easy it has become for them to just transit. It's just very easy. It was very smooth. Whereas companies who were holding back, who were closed-minded, who were talking about productivity, and that is why they were giving all excuses not to go for work from home, they will suffer at this point in time. They cannot be so daring. So, as you know, to show dream to your people, first you have to be a dreamer. You have to work on yourself. Just see which are the blocks you need to throw away at this time. So be curious. What are the trends happening? Immerse yourself in learning. Just immerse. I have a very small son, he keeps watching Doraemon. Sometimes I'm forced to sit with him and see. But if I can draw a parallel, I find that the Doraemon's time machine, it takes you, when you become a Doraemon, Nobita becomes a grandfather. I don't know, students should be able to relate to it because they're still young. But can you immerse yourself with the knowledge of your industry as to how the future is going to look like? Can you be in that experience for some time and come back? And then reassess where you are. Have a very honest assessment of yourself. Ask feedback from your well-meaning friends who can give you candid feedback. Have feedback from your friends and colleagues, trusted peers, who can tell you as to how open-minded you are. Practice deep listening. Listen to your customers, listen to your employees, listen to the people around you. Also, make friends with people from different industries. people who are in creative areas. So that will open up your mind and you can cross pollinate many ideas, because the time is of innovation now, innovative thinking. That's how you can become more daring. You can develop your curiosity, be open to change, embed yourself in learning, do some reading on wherever you find that, when you honestly assess yourself, which things can come in your way of development. And for caring, I would say, you have to be very, very close. One has to be very, very closely, associated with people, be among people. Gone are those days where you can actually be at a very different level, isolated in a cabin and lead people. And by knowing people, it's just not that, just having a cup of coffee with them. You understand, get into their under their skin, understand what are the problems he's facing. Not only you will understand your people, but you will get matured, you will understand what kinds of problems people in the world go through. And these circumstances where you are living in your community, there will be some old age, some senior citizens. Find out what kind of help they need. Through that, you will develop empathy. Only then you can develop your care muscle. That's how you can prepare yourself during this time.
Okay. So, how do we audit this kind of a leadership approach during the crisis or adversity? Do you think it is possible?
It's a $1 million question, and it's a very interesting question. And, I would not mince words saying that, yes, there has been a lot of lip service around many things. There has been different standards people say and do. But then what comes to my mind, audit is after the thing has happened. Best would be to have an enlightened, to join, for the students to join an enlightened company. And if you are a leader or an HR professional, try to develop that enlightenment in your leadership, in your people. It should be in the DNA of people. I will just take that care part now. That develop in the DNA of your people, that they should take care. Whatever decision they take, it should not impact people in a wrong way. And ultimately, it's good for the organization, because when you go through the adversity, afterwards, you will have a very tightly knit organization. And if you have lost people's trust during this time at a professional level or at an organizational level, people will not give their life for you, because in such circumstances, playbook does not work. If you hear Mr. Ratan Tata saying after the 26/11 incident in Taj Palace Hotel, how the employees dealt with it, the individual heroic activity that they showed. He said that I did not have a standard operating principle in place, but only one knows, how much care he took care of it. People knew that it's a good company to work for. He took care of his employees to their thick and thin. So building that trust is very important. So how we can audit it is, first place, I have heard, in ACC, I'll take an example. When I was young, I used to be in the training halls, and while the induction of people would go on, I have heard our ex-managing director, Mr. M.L. Narula, I would love to take the name. He's saying to those young boys and girls, I belong to a small town in Punjab. So when I was coming for my career, my father blessed me. He put his hand on my head and said, Beta, you will prosper. Or in Hindi or Punjabi, he said, you will prosper. Wherever you go, you will. He might have seen some attributes in him. You will be successful. But remember one thing, कि लोगों को push करना काम के लिए, but किसी का job नहीं लेना. So he instilled that thought in people's minds. So what I'm saying is, auditing comes later. This should be the approach. This should be our approach in HR, amongst HR people, when already people are going through so much pain. So many people are losing their near and dear ones. They're going through difficult times. maybe their son or daughter are held up somewhere else in some other country, in other parts of society. This is very important. And if we talk about audit in a budding organization, then perhaps we should set parameters again around that dare and care. The parameters could be, are you creating value to your decisions? Every major decision is seen through the lens of creating value. And care is seen through the lens of how your decision is impacting different stakeholders, your employees, community, your customers, your suppliers, the environment you live in. So this is extremely important, this auditing. Now, who will do the audit? This is again a question. Otherwise, it will be just a stamp on paper. We can, of course, put the compliance officer or some such person, but I strongly feel, and I don't know how much, I mean, whether it would be possible at all, but these people have to be certified like doctors, and they lose their registration, their license. I don't know. It has to be that way. They should be qualified. They should understand the business, some independent director, and they should do it religiously every quarter. All major decisions have to be seen, and there has to be transparency around it. Maybe one slide has to be there on describing these decisions and its impact. And if it can be done, it's a wonderful question. It will give value to the organization in the long run.
Right. Great. So, have you in your organization currently launched, any initiatives to ensure an ongoing L&D approach for the employees amidst this current lockdown?
Yes. So actually, since a long time, we have been thinking about digitizing our training initiatives. We had started with our lateral induction being, in digitized format. So quickly, what we did is we had our virtual platform through which whatever face-to-face classes were happening, we immediately converted into virtual classrooms. We also give access, and mainly from engagement point of view, we give access to our employees to all the free webinars which were coming from good institutes from within India and from outside. We also did some sector specific training. So we were just figuring out, but now it's working so well. We could cover so many people. Going forward, it's going to become even more complex, because it all depends on how the situation pans out, what kind of changes are required in the job description. Based on that, it has to be more role specific based on the skills that is needed. But yes, we have started in a good manner, and I'm sure going forward, it can be enhanced even further.
So, our students, now I would come to some of the students, who will be there in the webinar today. So some of our students of the current graduating batch who have just finished their MBA are having their first brush with the corporate world, and they are having to work from home. So how can organizations manage both their experience and their expectations, of these young new employees in this time of crisis?
Yes, so this is going to be challenging, but it's going to be very interesting, because here I respect and admire this generation quite a lot. They're very savvy about digital. So I would say that they will lead us. What we need to do as an organization is we have to be very empathetic towards them, should not take the trainees casually, or the new entrants, I don't know, maybe or people who are on probations or new entrants. We have to develop a rigor in ourselves. In the sense, we have to be disciplined, set up the schedule timeline. When we have to meet, we have to surely meet. We cannot give excuse, oh, some urgent meeting has come. We have to very clearly articulate what is our expectation of them day by day, week by week, because we have to handhold them now. And yes, very importantly, this is a very I would say interesting situation. I don't know whether I can use that word, But from the point of optimism, this is a time they can learn a lot, and a lot of changes are happening. And sometimes I feel in some organizations everybody is getting inducted in the same time. Don't ever think that you're new to the organization, because certain things which are happening which we never did in past, so we all will get inducted together. So camaraderie is required from the people side, people who are in business. We have to give time. And yes, most importantly, we have to include the trainees even in important discussions, because we do not know how they can bring a great amount of contribution and innovation now that digitalization is on acceleration mode. So inclusion is very important so that they don't feel isolated in this time of isolation. But it's very encouraging for the trainees. You see, you will not be missing your home for a couple of, I don't know if you're in hostel or in home, but couple of times. But yes, be organized, wake up on time, because I have handled trainees, from a very young age, and it was very interesting. I mean, it was very difficult to wake them up also in the morning and take them to yoga and all when we were doing induction in SEC. I remember those days, very interesting. And now those people have all grown up, they are all GMs and all. But then we crack jokes when we meet, when we used to meet when I was in SEC. Be very organized about your time and be very punctual. Understand your deliverable very well, and accordingly you deliver. Also, during this time of working from home, you will be may be deprived of the networking. So what you do is, now here you have a tool, LinkedIn. So you try to develop a network through LinkedIn. And yes, catch up over a cup of coffee and in the Skype sometimes, if you can. So this is the way. Also get used to understand that your HR people will take you through the protocols of the organization, how you need to address your people, because here address your bosses, your mentors, because here you're not getting to see others in action. It will be more of one-to-one action, interaction, until and unless you get into a lot of team meetings. So that's about it from my side. But yes, HR has to play a very important role. Business leaders have to play a very important role. And we cannot afford to miss out their competency, the newcomers' competency.
We also have another group of students who are in first year MBA, and they have now started with their virtual internships. How do you think organizations can help them in leveraging this period as a great learning opportunity?
Okay. So what I would say is definitely what I said as an answer to your previous question. That answer remains valid to some extent. To the interns, what I would say is, for you, networking is even more important. It is because that you might also look for a placement in that organization. And you have to work very hard to demonstrate your professionalism. Because again, it comes to placements. I'm being little practical in this matter. So therefore, be very clear about your assignment, your deliverable, the time when you can contact your mentor, because now you have to be empathetic about your people also, because here now we have so many other things. Now the boundary between work and our life has been demolished. It's more of work-life integration. So might be your mentor has a small child who needs attention, or his or her Zoom class is going on. So I would say, plan ahead. What you would do tomorrow, you plan today. And accordingly, you make you organize yourself well. And accordingly, keep reporting, send the reports. And now everything is recorded, right? Because it's virtual. And also, when anything, your mentor gives you any assignment, you repeat it and understand whether you have understood it correctly or not. Or put it in a format email and just bounce it. But we have to be extremely disciplined in terms of our time management, deliverables, our communication.
There are some students who would be aspiring to do MBA this year. I'm talking primarily of management students. And as an L&D leader, what would you suggest to them that how they can prepare themselves in the next 2 years?
They are going through the, I would say, they are the biggest beneficiary of this whole situation, though the situation is difficult and sad, because they are observing us, from the side. And many changes will happen, things will stabilize quite a bit before they enter. So they will have the luxury of choosing the right organization, right industry. This is a very interesting time to be in. So develop very good relation with your alumni. They will guide you, they will mentor you. But what you do is, again, be curious. First of all, you understand what is your purpose, what you are passionate about, because now there are so many other avenues are emerging, like digitization, AI adoption, so many avenues. So while you do your MBA, you look for these signals and then choose a company or a sector where you can fulfill your dreams. That is very important. So I would only say remain curious, read the patterns, read the trends, and yes, read the leadership qualities, about the attributes in people. So do lot of reading. And these days you have the advantage of LinkedIn, so many, platform through which you can learn. And yes, be optimistic. Always be optimistic. I know a couple of students, who are interacting with me one on one also. I find many of them are quite pessimistic as to what will happen. You know, we have, as a human race, we have faced many difficulties in the past. And now it is not you who will be facing you are not facing the difficulty alone. Entire world is facing the difficulty. So it's a time when the humanity is getting, global village. People from the world are assembling under one umbrella of humanity. So my heart goes out to people like you. Some people are expecting their results. Some people are looking for internships. Some people's campus placement did not happen. Some organizations have withdrawn. Not only for entrance, but the offers and all. But going forward, we shall overcome. So never be pessimistic. Always be optimistic. Always be hopeful. Always read on adaptability. So self-management is the best management. Only then you can lead others. See what are your emotions, what is happening in your mind. Be very curious. I repeat, look at the industry trends and choose the right profession.
Sudarsana, from my side, that's all. But I have just got a message that there are some more questions which the audiences have sent. So is it okay? We can deal with them right now? Okay, so the first question is that what type of a leadership style would you suggest to deal with uncommitted students who voluntarily absent themselves for long?
Voluntarily?
They absent themselves for long.
Absent from?
So I believe that they are students who have not been attending work. So how do you deal with such kind of uncommitted students?
Okay, so I think it must be coming from your faculty.
No, I think it is coming from an industry person, perhaps. Could be.
Okay, I would say uncommitted students can only be possible when we could not ignite the passion in them. They are not finding the work interesting, which will keep them awake through the night. So can we give them such a project? Can we give them some work? Can we have a one-to-one conversation with them? It could be different reasons for different people. But even if they're absent, I would not say they are bad. They might be doing something interesting which interests them. And to be very honest, these days I feel this next generation, they're quite honest. They will not come and sit in the class or work and nod at everything. I have seen, I was going regularly to IIFT for my sessions, and it was always so interesting to see people there, the students. They would be so upfront, so candid. This generation is like that. So if we cannot ignite the passion in them, it's the problem is somewhere else. Problem is not with them. And it is a challenge for us to develop that kind of and it could be for different reasons. It could be for health reason, it could be some family reason. One has to develop that counseling ability. We as seniors, we should ask. I remember when, I have been since 25 years is a long time. During induction, I had to counsel some students even on issues like their parents were getting separated. But then you have to understand that person as a human being rather than putting a label or being judgmental about it. So that is my thought.
Right. There is another question. How do you lead in a time of crisis on a personal level? Did you ever do that?
Couple of times. And I would say what comes to my mind is mostly on the personal front. I remember, I will tell that story. But, once I was a student then, my mom had suffered a heart attack and I was alone. I was there at that time in the school. So her BP was going up and all, and I maintained calm. I knew who to contact, and suddenly I found that leader within me coming out. Similarly, I have worked in sales and marketing, and there were a lot of adversities. And every day, sales and marketing people, face adversities. So I can give a short story. I don't know whether time will permit, but I was a very junior salesperson that time. I visited Sanaswari. Sanaswari is in the outskirts of Pune. When I went there, I found that my customers were the procurement person of my customer was not visible. He's not there in the office. So I asked what happened. So he said that his assistant said that he is in the shop floor because our most important furnace has broken down. And we have an export order, and after a long time we got this order. If we can deliver on time only, then we will get repeat orders, and that means survival of our factory and our company. We do not know what is to be done. So I said, can I visit your shop floor? So very reluctantly he took me, because I have a short stature, and that time I'm a lady, and that time I'm talking about so many years ago. People thought, what she will do? Finally, when I went, I found, that's something we could do with our product. And that product we were also trying to introduce for a very long time. And I could turn around their furnace in much shorter period than the conventional process, which I did. And I worked for 3 shifts continuously and turned around. At the end, my customer's MD offered me a job. So that was the greatest reward I could get, which I politely declined, but it was very, very much appreciated in my organization. So I would say, in our own ways, we do overcome adversities. We are all leaders, but thing is that we have to dare to dream and care for people.
Okay. Have you reduced your L&D budgets at this time? This is another question that has come.
See, actually, till now, we have not got a time also to speak about the L&D budget. But if you ask my opinion, when I talk to my management after all this gets over, I would not want to reduce my budget. And this I'm telling with conviction, because I have played many business simulation games myself, and I have seen people playing business simulation games. So whenever any difficulty strikes, I have seen people generally shed their budget from L&D and project management. But it has been seen from that quarter. It is played generally in quarter by quarter, this business simulation games. You all must have played already, or management students. But the moment these are slashed, immediately the business result goes for a nosedive. Of course, that is a bit exaggerated and amplified, but this is exactly what happens. when you try to discount your L&D budget. But yes, we have to recast our L&D plan. Definitely, earlier we were doing more face to face. Now it will be more virtual. It might need a rejig, but whatever is required has to be done. So I wouldn't say that it is. It can be compared with the earlier budget, but whatever is required for skilling people, that's very important. And reskilling is also going to be very important.
The online training and webinars, are they not adding to the techno stress of the employees who are working from home?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because people are also talking about that Zoom TIG coming in, fatigue. Initially, we did not really, it was more of engaging people, what people will do because they're isolated, they're alone. And then so many thoughts coming to our mind. So we gave, but of course, we did not give all of that. So I'm sure, but there were many in numbers. So that fatigue definitely will happen, and we will try to streamline it. Now it will not be so much. We are trying to slowly, come to terms with the reality. We are also adapting.
There is one more question, and I think that can be the last one. We have been told that Tata Projects is, and we are all aware of it, in fact, that Tata Projects is a top engineering, construction, and procurement company in India. How are you managing your work from home? Given the fact that it's all in the field kind of work.
Yes. So initially, many of our sites were closed. Now, one by one, we are opening it depending upon where it is getting relaxed. Back office, definitely we have to work from home. We have no other option, but we are figuring out a way. We are connecting with employees. We are talking to, this is a time to connect. This is a time to connect. Employees, customers, vendors, doing a lot of reading as to what is happening in this space, how digitization will impact our business. So what we can do, because when there is going to be a social distancing at site, how we can make it possible. So all these are keeping us engaged. But yes, as all the organizations are facing that, you will not be, if we have that in mind that, you have to be productive, it will not be that way. It will not be that way in the earlier terms. So it has to be kind of some roles. So we have to rejig the roles again. Some roles will be loaded. Some will, like L&D was really loaded. Some roles may not be as loaded, but we can actually then enrich those jobs. But yes, very much possible. Otherwise, we had to sit idle, right? But there were lots to do.
Great. So before we end, we would like to play the video for our audience right now. So can I request my team to do that?
Oh, that's Sona. Just
oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome someday. আশা করে এসেছি গো কাছে ডেকেল, বড় আশা করে এসেছি গো কাছে ডেকেল, ফেরায় না জননী, বড় আশা করে এসেছি গো কাছে ডেকেল। We shall live in peace, we shall live in peace, we shall live in peace someday. Hey, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall live in peace someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe. দিনহীনে কেহ চাহে না, তুমি তারে রাখিবে জানি গো, that we'll walk hand in hand someday. And here we go with the violin solo. চাহিনে চরণ তলে বসে থাকিব, আর আমি যে কিছু চাহিনে জননী বলে শুধু ডাকিব। তুমি না রাখিলে গৃহ আর পাইব কোথায়? Deep in my heart, I do believe that someday.
We shall overcome someday.
Oh yeah, deep in my heart, তুমি না রাখিলে গৃহ আর পাইব কোথায়?
We shall overcome.
কেঁদে কেঁদে কোথা বেড়াবো, ওই যে তমস ঘন ঘোরা গহন রজনী, বড় আশা করে এসেছি গো কাছে ডেকেল, বড় আশা করে এসেছি গো কাছে ডেকেল, ফিরায় না। I do believe that we are not afraid. Someday, ফিরায়ো না।
So, as Nelson Mandela said, that lead from hope, not from fear.
Right. And yesterday being Rabindranath Tagore's anniversary, birth anniversary, this comes at a very appropriate time. So we are extremely thankful to you for your presence here today, Sudarsana. And you have so very clearly and simply given us the insights on a very delicate and crucial topic of leadership, especially in the times we are thriving in today. Personally, it's been a huge learning, and I'm sure the audiences, particularly the students, would have also gained from your valuable inputs and experience. I thank Sabyasachi and Urvashi for managing the back end to ensure the seamless session today. On behalf of IILM University, I thank everyone present here and have a good evening and a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.